In this video, we're building the vital front-end components for a Postgres data analytics tool. But just like our 100x engineers of the future, we're not typing this code. We're prompting it in natural language using a technique I like to call triple C. We'll get into what exactly triple C is, but we're gonna bring out what I believe is the best pair programming assistant right now. We're going to use AIDER to show off this technique and give you ideas and add another tool to your toolbox to help you on your engineering journey, to help you build your products, to help you stay on the edge of AI engineering. Let's AI engineer our data analytics front-end MVP. We're going to build this UI in 3 different frameworks, one of which I've never programmed with in my life. So let's crack open VS Code. You can see I have 2 sets of terminals with 3 terminals each. Let's boot up our front end. I'm using Bun. I'm gonna leave all the documentation you need to get started with this in the description, and of course the code is gonna be in the description as well. Bun, run dev, bun, run dev, bun, run dev. Vue.ts, Svelte.ts, and React.ts. These are all generated using Bun and Vite. Then we just cleared out a little bit of the application, no big deal there. We're working on the front end for talk to your database, right? This is the prototype front end for the application that allows us to seamlessly interact with our Postgres data analytics multi-agent tool that we've been building over the series. Feel free to look back, check out all the videos. We've done a lot of work so far. I want to introduce you to something called triple C. Comment, Copilot, coding. Let's boot up AIDER in each one of these applications. Copy this, paste, 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 play, play, play. Okay, let's go ahead and clear. AIDER looks at your files to know what it needs in its context to start writing code. I'm gonna type /add, and for view we need app.view, add app.svelte, /add, the app.tsx, you can see that right here, perfect. What is comment Copilot coding? This technique is actually very simple. You write comments, you open AIDER, and you ask AIDER to fill in the comments. I'm gonna come to the bottom of this Vue.js file. I'm gonna type code, colon, and then I'm gonna start saying exactly what I want to happen here. Build a dark theme for input, button, pre, section, and code tag. Let's go ahead and create another, right? Create 2 variables, prompt, string, prompt, result. I'm going to say where prompt result equals some structure. So that's going to be a record, and that's going to be a string. Create an input field that updates the variable. And then right at the bottom, we're going to say code, create a list of the prompt results. Wrap.results in a scrollable bone section with a dark background. I'm just feeling really verbose with exactly what I want to see here. That looks good. So I have a couple comments here. I'm just going to go ahead and let this rip. So I'm going to save, come into my Vue AIDER terminal, read the comments, and wherever you see code, colon, generate the request. Keep all code generation in the component, right? We're working with single file components in each one of these examples. I'm gonna keep it locked down just to these. So that's done. So I'm gonna hit enter. It's gonna say that we have a code change that needs to be committed. It's gonna ask if you wanna commit it. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna hit up and then rerun that request. Okay, let's go ahead and make this a little larger. And you can see AIDER doing its AIDER thing. So it's describing the changes we want it to make. It's walking through iteratively, step by step, right? So it's showing the previous, showing the new, and it's already done. So before I can even fully explain that, it's finished. It committed the changes, it ran the changes, it's now live in the file, right? We have the interface that we asked for, the prompt result, typed exactly as we specified. We have the 2 variables with perfect Vue 3 script setup syntax. We have the sections. We have the input field set up with vModel. We have the section looping over our prompt results. So you can see here, this is working really well. Let's look at the front end. We have this live. We now have our enter your prompt input field right here, right? We can zoom in on this a little bit. So this is good to go. All we did was add a couple comments, right? I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these now. Added a couple comments, and then we ran this exact prompt. I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the description as well. There are gonna be a couple different variants you can set up. Of course, you can add your own, code tag, your code ID for AIDER, for GPT to pick up. It doesn't matter what you use as long as you use something consistently, right? This is how this works. I'm gonna go ahead and run this across the app Svelte and the app TSX, right? The nice part about AIDER, I've mentioned this before, but you can Control Z and just go back in time. I'm gonna go ahead and copy out our comments here and then move back forward with Control Shift Z or Command Shift Z, whatever you're using based on your OS. And I'm gonna go to the Svelte version, just gonna paste this right at the bottom, and the app.tsx version. Gonna paste this right at the bottom as well, and we're in TSX, so you need to wrap this in another comment here, right? So that's that. It looks like I cut off this a little bit. Let me fix this. There you go. Okay, so now I'm gonna let AIDER run this in the other 2 terminals, one for Svelte and one for React. Committed the changes, go ahead and run. And now it's gonna rip. And as you can see here, I think long-term, this is really the magic of prompt engineering and building multi-agent systems to work alongside you and with you. You can see here right now, I am actively in 2 places at once, really 3 places, but I'm not currently doing anything, right? So you can see these changes got committed. Let's go ahead and look at how they look. So I've never worked with Svelte. I don't know what's going on. I can, of course, make some sense of it. It has this kind of cool 3-block style, just like Vue.js. If we collapse everything, script main style, importing the icons. One of the things I really like about this technique, this prompting technique, and using LLMs in general is that while I'm using this, I'm actively learning Svelte. I don't know how it works exactly, but we can kind of see, right? We have this each block, which, we can assume will loop over. Then we have this prompt as results. So, lists and then iterative value. And then we can see that getting placed, and we have the prompt results, and then we have the type. So this looks really clean. It looks a lot like Vue. That's really awesome. Let's look at the React version. So you can see here we have the exact same thing. We have the prompt result. We have 2 state variables. We have the input with the onChange event setting the state. And then we have a nice loop. Let's go ahead and get rid of the comments here. Let's go ahead and tweak this a little bit. This is a little off. We need to push this down. Copilot is not going to be perfect. It's getting close. So sometimes we need to make a little tweak just like that. Let's hop over to the applications. We can see 3 versions, Vue version, Svelte version, and we have the React TS version. Looks like the React version gave us a little button there. That's kind of interesting. So this is great. Let's keep moving. Let's keep pushing this. Over the series, we've been building a Postgres data analytics tool that allows us to accept a natural language query, generate SQL, and run it against a database. Right now, we're going to hit our first kind of mock API that we have set up in our server directory. We have 2 new directories here. We have the clients where we have our React, Svelte, and Vue front ends. And then we have our server, which has our Postgres data analytics tool, kind of a stripped down version, just to get something live so we can experiment with it, right? So now we have this API we can hit. Let's go ahead and open up one more terminal, which has our server in it. And I'm just going to cd into server, going to start a Python environment, Python API index.py. So this is running a Versal Flask application, really minimalistic. The application looks something like this. We have our Postgres database URL, our OpenAI key. We have this CORS request helper just so that we can quickly make API requests. And then here's the meat of it. We have this /prompt post endpoint, right? We're doing a little bit of CORS work up here. And then as you've seen before in the series, we have our Postgres agent instruments opening up functions and state that we can use and our Postgres database instance. We're parsing out tables from our SQL database. We're appending the tables to a prompt. We're then setting up our small 2-agent system to generate SQL and then run it against our database using OpenAI tools. And then at the bottom, we're reading those files out and we're returning this object, which we're going to pass back to the front end, right? Using our AI pair programming tool, let's go ahead and generate this request on the fly. Let's start with the Vue.js version. So I'm going to write right here, just like we have been, code, and now I'm going to ask for exactly what I want. Add a enter key event that takes the prompt and makes a HTTP post request, localhost 3000/prompt, the JSON response into the prompt results. Make sure to use json.parse. It will be a JSON string. So just like before, I'm just going to run the exact same prompt to AIDER. This is kind of a magical thing, constantly firing the same prompt while updating exactly what I want to change in the code. I think this might be a pattern we see going forward as AI coding assistants develop, and as the big guys, Microsoft, with their Copilot, and smaller startups really trying to tackle this problem. I think we're going to see something like this a lot more, right? Where you have these like smaller insets of prompt engineering. I've kind of designed a whole product around this. Of course, haven't gotten to it, don't have enough time. But let's go ahead and just run this, right? Okay, we need to make another commit. Go ahead and say yes, and then rerun. Okay, so you can see AIDER is talking through the change. It's showing everything that already exists, and then it's generating the new code. So it's doing this right now. Okay, so we do run into this issue. So this is a problem that I've run into a couple times with this technique. You've probably seen this too, where AIDER, whatever tool you're using, really GPT as well, they'll write code for you, but they'll do this import existing block and they'll just delete the rest of your code, right? So this is something that I think needs to be improved. Let's go ahead and hit Control Z, do a little bit of time travel. Let's get our previous block. Just go ahead and just copy your previous script block and then move forward again and jump down to the script, paste that in. And it also, I noticed it looks like it's generating 2 script blocks. So again, not perfect. It's still getting there. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the previous script block, find our new script block to get that out of the template, and bam, we're good to go. So let's look at the change, right? Key up, dot enter. This is exactly how you do this in Vue. you have send prompt, and it has this new function for us. It's checking to see if the prompt is empty. If it is, return. And then it's making this post request for us, right? Hitting /prompt, parsing this out, parsing the JSON just like we said, data.results needs to be checked and parsed from JSON, and then we reset the value and push into our prompt results list. We've been looking at the code a lot. Let's go to the front end. I'm gonna hit refresh here. This is the latest version. Our server is up and running on port 3K. Let's just type in natural language. Let's see if AIDER and GPT Turbo helped us put this UI together faster than ever before. So I'm gonna type all on-off users and hit enter. Okay, so let's check this out. So we have our prompt at the top, all on-off users. We can see we have a nice list of results, and then we have our SQL statement. So, we can check the backend here. It looks like we have a big print here. This is all the content coming from the response object from our Postgres database. But this is really great. So all on-off the users. So if we just real quick, copy this, paste this in a file, we should see all of our users, not auth. So, if I look for regex search, auth false, that looks good. And if I look for true here, we'll see nothing. So that worked perfectly. And, just like that, we kind of have a nice jump start to this user interface. Let's go ahead and prompt again, right? All users with job feedback dot rating less than 3. Let's hit enter. Of course, there's a lot more UI improvements we can make here, but let's let our server run. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down. Let's see how this looks. Okay, this looks good. So we have a couple items here. You can see it corrected my mistake here. So I said job feedback L. That got auto fixed for me, which is great. And it just kind of put this together. So this is great. This is working. The Vue.js version is looking decent. Let's go ahead and just add this prompt to our other two versions, right? Our Svelte and our React versions. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So in the Svelte version, I'm going to try pasting this right at the top to see if it can make sure it reads all of the code below it. And I'm going to do the same thing for the React version. Now we have that comment in both versions right at the top. Let's see how this works. Again, really cool part about this functionality. You just take this line and you keep running it. All you're doing is inline updating your code, and then you just blast this prompt to AIDER over and over. So let's go ahead and run that. Let's go ahead and run it here and here. And as you can see, it's that really cool parallel feeling where, it feels like we're getting a lot of work done. And as this progresses, as we learn how to use these tools, we will be getting a lot more done, because just like that, in 2 code bases, essentially, I've made 2 changes simultaneously with 1 prompt, right? So let's go ahead and see how this works. So this is the Svelte version. Again, I don't really know Svelte, so I'm kind of just, going by gut feel, going by my coding senses, my coding experience. But this is also really cool. So we have handle key down. Okay, it did add another script block here, kind of annoying, right? Not perfect, so let's go ahead and just copy this out. And now we have what looks like a on key down handler. So on key down handler calls this function. We're checking for the enter key, and then just like in the Vue.js version, it's running that same HTTP request, right? This is really clean, really slick. And as you can see here, AIDER only has context of the 1 file we're operating in, right? Let's go ahead and see how this looks. So here's the Vue.js version, and here's the Svelte version. Get all on-auth users. Let's get auth users instead, right? Hit enter, let this load, let the backend get a nice response for us, and let's see how the Svelte version looks. Okay, so nothing happened. Our prompt did get cleared, so we do know that this last line is running. Something's going on here. So let's go ahead and make a more specific prompt to see what's going on. And I think I can already see what's happening, right? We have a .push here, and my guess is that something is not being reactive, right? So let's go ahead, hop into AIDER. The prompt results.push is not updating anything. Please address. Go ahead and commit our previous changes. Hit yes. Rerun. Okay, nice. To address this issue with prompts.push not updating, we need to ensure that Svelte is aware of the update in the prompt's result. To trigger reactivity, you need to use array spread. Okay, yeah, so classic reactivity in a framework. So go ahead, we're just going to spread the object over. Let's go ahead, let's jump back to the front end and see if that worked. So all auth users. Awesome. So as we can see here, we have all auth users. So that was our prompt. And then we have a nice list here, a not scrolled list, which is, kind of missed that, but that's fine. So we have a nice list here of all the results. And then at the bottom, we have our SQL query. Probably move the SQL query above the list, whatever. That's 1 prompt away from happening. But this is working. Let's go ahead and look at our React version. Looks like we got a little error here. Let's go ahead and check that out. Looks like the React version threw some of the functionality right inside the component. So again, not perfect, still needs some work. We can just copy this out though, paste this above before our component definition, before our JSX, and that is looking a lot better. And let's prompt in our React TS version. So all auth users with jobs that have status completed. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter there. That should prompt also, let's go ahead and check the server to make sure it's running. Yep, so our server is running here. You can see it's incorporated the jobs table and it has the base prompt, all auth users. Okay, and it has the results there. So let's go ahead and look at this. Awesome. So we have our list of results here. We have our select statement here. And let's just go ahead and look at this statement. So select distinct, great, inner join, jobs, great, parent ID, so great. So it found that relationship between the job and the users table. And then it said status complete and user is auth. So perfect, that is absolutely the statement. We can see that we're missing the prompt here in this version. Let's just throw AIDER at that. Let's say update the results list UI to also show the prompt. Of course, commit the changes. Let's go ahead and run that. And it should be a fairly simple change. Just need to update that. Cool, so that was applied. Let's go ahead and look at our list. You can see here we now have prompt getting placed in the TSX. Let's go ahead and perfect, so already there, right? Another fantastic part about AIDER, it just saves your file for you automatically right away. So really cool. You know, we could add another prompt here, make sure you clear out the input. We can add another prompt for getting a little bit better formatting. We can add some defaults. Let's do something else. Let's do something a little more complex, right? I'm gonna hop back over to the Vue.js version. And, you know, we have this list of items, but if we refresh in every version, we lose our state, right? So in the production version, of course, we're gonna have this behind a nice server with a nice database behind it. For right now, let's just experiment some more with AIDER and let's just add this to local storage. Let's go ahead and flex our AI coding skills a little more here. I'm gonna create a comment right above the state in Vue.js, and I'm gonna say code : load this from local storage or default to empty list. And then when we save, I'm going to say comment code : save this to local storage. Exactly. So this is kind of funny, right? We have Microsoft Copilot helping us copilot AIDER. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and clear this up. We're just gonna hit up. We're gonna rerun the exact same prompt. It's gonna ask if we need to commit our changes, which we will. We'll say yes, we'll hit up again and hit enter. And now it's gonna make this change for us. It should load from local storage and save to local storage. So if we refresh, we should see these changes persist. Let's go ahead and look. Great, so we have local storage set item and we have prompt results, JSON stringify going in there, great. Let's search upward and make sure that perfect in our reference here in Vue. We're going to be parsing the local storage parse or parsing an empty array, right? Okay, so I've just refreshed the Vue TS version. So let's just say get all jobs that have failed status. Let's hop over to our server. We can see this running. Base prompt, there's the response already back, and bam. Now we have all jobs with the failed status. Let's go ahead and just refresh right now. And as you can see, we do have the refresh running right here. Our changes are persisting. Let's go ahead, set up the exact same thing for our Svelte and React versions. Okay, so now we have the Svelte version with the Copilot comment there, one here, save prompt to local storage, load this from local storage. Same thing in the React version, right at the use state call, load from local storage and save prompt results to local storage. Let's fire these off in the respective versions. Let's go ahead and say yes to commit, rerun the prompt, and we'll let it rip. All right, let's just go right to the front end. Let's run a prompt in the Svelte version, get all users with created after sept 2023. Let's let that run. There's all users created after September 2023. You can see here we have 2023 and 10. If we just search that, we should see no records at 9. We can go ahead and look for 09 here, and that looks perfect, right? So select everything after September, and if we hit refresh, we have it in local storage. Fantastic. One more test. Let's go to our React version. We'll say get all jobs created in sept 2023. Let that run. If we hop over to the server, we can see that this is indeed running live right now, and we're going to get our results pretty quickly here. Awesome. And let's look. So here we have a React version of all of our results created in September 2023. So you can see here where jobs created greater than and created less than. Perfect. And if we just scroll through that, we can see that those results are coming through end to end, right? So this is a really cool technique I've been using to build applications faster than I ever have before. There's this really powerful feeling you get when you're using AI coding tools like AIDER, where you're running a prompt and it's writing code for you in one file and one set of files, and then you're off somewhere else also writing code, planning, designing, architecting something, and then you come back, it's complete. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's all going to improve. Remember, it's about the direction of where this is going. Add this tool to your toolbox. I'm a huge fan of AIDER. I'm a huge fan of all the work that Paul has been doing. He's really built a fantastic application. I think it is really the mold of in-editor, in-terminal AI coding assistants that everyone should really be paying attention to. So again, add it to your toolbox. This is an incredible tool. I wanted to go into a little bit of detail in hosting, but I figured that's not a really great use of our time talking about deploying backends. There's tons of content already that covers that. We don't need to talk about that. And in reality, when we put our Postgres data analytics tool, talk to your database behind a API, behind a server, it's going to be a real kind of heavy duty, scalable solution. It's going to be AWS, GCP, and there's going to be a lot more complexity. I just want to show this off a little bit to show where this is all going, show off some of the capabilities, and get this hosted. So this is ready to go in a Versal application, so this can be hosted using Versal. I'm going to leave, of course, links in the description so that you can get this set up and running. That's all going to be available there. There are low-code solutions, there are no-code solutions, but they all lose that fine-grained capability of full control over your code, full control over your product. There's definitely a place for low-code and no-code, but I want to make you aware of these capabilities, and I want to keep bringing it up on my channel because these tools are really important. I know there's Open Terminal. I've heard of Chat Dev. I've heard of all these other ones. I've tried a decent amount of them. They're all fairly good. I'm looking at these tools constantly, comparing, contrasting, seeing which ones give me a bigger edge, a bigger lead in my engineering and product building skills and ability to create valuable products. AIDER is just swipe the board. There are definitely some improvements that can be made to some of these prompts to get it to deliver code more accurately. You can give it more templated sections so that it knows, don't duplicate the script tag. We saw that happen a couple times, right? Just like you saw here, I'm using it to build out the front end of talk to your database. Feel free to sign up. This is what this series has been leading up to. All 10 videos is about us starting from nothing to building a full, complete product. Over the next 2 videos, we're going to push our AI coding assistants even further. We're going to build out more of our front-end user interfaces. We're going to lock into one of these frameworks. We're going to clean this up a little bit, and the whole time we're going to use Copilot, and we're going to hit our mock backend API, and we're going to treat this like a real production-like application, all with the backbone of LLM GPT-powered technology that is changing the way that we engineer. It's changing the way that we write code. It's changing the way that we interact with our data, with our databases. Feel free to like, feel free to sub, join the journey. We're staying on the edge of AI engineering. It doesn't matter who's the CEO of what company. It doesn't matter the tool or technology. We stick to core fundamental engineering principles to help us make high probability decisions on where to spend our time, where to spend our energy, where to spend our life as engineers. We're going to be here as long as it is possible for us to be here before AI fully takes over. We have a lot of time left. I don't want to sound like a doomer, but the time is coming. Let's stay on the edge. Let's keep our edge as engineers alive as long as possible. I'll see you guys in the next video.